3 members of the U.S. Army soldiers were killed by a drone attack from an Iranian proxy group. We now know that group is named the Islamic Resistance in Iraq. We believe the drone was a drone that's produced by Iran, a one-way drone called the Shahed 131, has a range of about 600 miles, can carry a 30-pound warhead. So these are those suicide drones. They don't return. In a way, they are like targeted missiles, and they targeted the base, which, again, might be a reminder to many Americans that we've got soldiers in these bases all over the world, including right on that base in Jordan is right on the border of Jordan and only about 12 miles away from another smaller U.S. base inside Syria to this day. The base that was hit has about 350 U.S. personnel on it. 34 injured, 8 of them injured enough to where they were flown out of Jordan for follow-up care, and 3 so far who have lost their life. So while Iran is trying to say the blood is not on our hands, Iran's hands, it's saying, listen, this is the United States. You're fighting resistance groups in the Middle East, and they're fighting back. Again, it's not us, but they are arming these groups. They are the reason why 3 U.S. troops are dead and 30-plus more are seriously injured, enough, some of them enough where they need to be flown out of Jordan to get the care they need. It is a reminder of the danger of how many of our men and women who serve our country still serve under when we don't necessarily focus on these outposts that continue to operate in places like Syria, like Jordan on the border with Syria, with very bad actors, knowing that these outposts are public, they exist. You can look them up online.
Well, let's be very clear that the Biden administration has paid for this war. They are the ones who have been funding Iran. They have done sanctions relief, they've done credit, and they've done cash. All totaled, more than $100 billion has been given to the Iranians. And how does the Iranians respond? Well, they certainly continue to go get their nuclear weapon. They're on that road. They've launched a war throughout the Middle East in a variety of ways. Let's not forget Lebanon with Hezbollah, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, Yemen. I mean, the whole region now is become funded with Iranian proxies, and we've just seen them put a satellite into space, 2 satellites into space. So let's be clear, they're flush with cash thanks to Joe Biden, and now they're up to their old ways.
This is about tone, tenor, and policy over the last 3 years, not just something we woke up to. President Biden has never spoken to the American people about why it is we have deep interest in the Middle East. He needs to explain what it is we're doing, why we're doing it. I think there's a great case to be made, but he needs to make it. And in the absence of doing that, imagine you're the Iranians and you're watching. President Biden says, we're going to fund UNRWA, the UN organization. We're going to tell the Israelis, hey, you may not get any funding if you don't reduce your firepower in Gaza. And then he attacks the United States of America 150 times, our soldiers 150 times, and we do nearly nothing. The end result is the tragedy of these 3 soldiers lost. I pray for them, for their families. We shouldn't forget we had 2 Navy SEALs that perished as a result of the activities in the region. When you don't get the right end of the stick, when your State Department is negotiating with the Iranians while the Iranians are firing missiles at you, you have an imbalance that creates enormous escalation, and the end result is where we see ourselves today, an Iran that clearly believes themselves at war with the United States.
Do you think this administration, one, is telling you the truth about really what's going on around the world and the dangers that we face, that our men and women face, that we still have this many men and women deployed in places that are conflict zones? And now Americans have been killed. And we've talked about the whole time, what happens when Americans get killed by one of these Iranian drones? What will the response be? Biden says he will respond. The question is, what is the response?